Well, we've had tons of questions about Sony's Spider-Man universe ever since Marvel and Disney worked out their new deal. Now we're all waiting for Spider-Man No Way Home, but now we've got a really interesting update from Sony Pictures on what's going on. A Sony executive has revealed that Spider-Man No Way Home is going to actually kick off Sony's shared Marvel universe, also called the Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel Characters, SPUMC. And boy, does that indicate some major relationship changes between them and Disney. So, let's take a couple of minutes to break down the story. Now, before we break this down, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. Also, we got this big giveaway. We're going to give away this PlayStation 5 at 25,000 subscribers. All you have to do to get in on the giveaway is be a subscriber and leave us a comment. Also, if you want to support the channel, check out the Buy Me a Coffee link down below. It's a great way to throw a little bit of pocket change at us and support the channel, all while not creating some future obligations. We really appreciate it. Well, we finally got some major answers to exactly what's going on with Spider-Man, Sony, and all these Spider-Man spin-off characters. Now, it doesn't give details, but it does come from high up. Now, this is a really interesting story, and we finally got some information from the Sony side of the house, who actually controls the rights to Spider-Man. It comes via Sony executive Sanford Panettiere during an interview with Variety. Now, for years, Sony's rights to Spider-Man have been a bit of a mess. But by far, probably the most interesting chapter in the Spider-Man movie story was when Sony and Marvel finally got together to bring Spider-Man into the MCU in Captain America: Civil War. Now, the deal actually brought Tom Holland taking on the role of Spider-Man for 6 films. And that shared ownership did bring on tons of questions about whether Tom Holland can appear in Sony's films. Now, while all this was going on, Sony tried to spin off their own universe of Marvel characters. Venom was released in 2018, and we have a sequel coming up, which technically would have already been in the theater minus COVID. We have Morbius coming next winter, and in 2023, we're getting Kraven the Hunter. We also can't forget Sony's animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse films, which were spectacular, and is already spawning a sequel. Now, despite all of this, fans have pretty much been waiting for a clear answer when Sony and the MCU's characters will actually cross paths. And here is where the report from Variety comes in. Now, in the report, Sony exec Sanford Panettiere suggests that Spider-Man 3 will actually kick off their Marvel Universe. Now, while he was talking about all the sort of issues that inhibit the MCU Spider-Man from appearing in Sony's films, he did reveal that they do actually have a plan, which he believes fans are starting to get an idea of. Now, clearly, this guy's working with Kevin Feige. He was very light on the details, but he did indicate that tensions will be resolved and things after Spider-Man 3 are going to be much, much clearer for fans. This is what he said. There actually is a plan. I think now it's getting a little more clear for people where we've headed, and I think when No Way Home comes out, even more will be revealed. The great thing is we have this very excellent relationship with Kevin. There's an incredible sandbox there to play with. We want those MCU movies to be absolutely huge, because that's great for us and our Marvel characters. And I think that's the same thing on their side. But we do have a great relationship. There's lots of opportunities, I think, that's going to happen. Now, if you notice here, he was careful not to give away too many clues. But the general gist of the statement is something is going to go down in Spider-Man 3 that will open the door to a shared Marvel universe. Now, we've been hearing rumors for months about Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, which were never confirmed. Actually, Andrew Garfield completely denied it. But we do know that Jamie Foxx's Kraven the Hunter and Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus are both coming back, and they are definitely from different versions of Spider-Man. Now, it still remains pretty unclear exactly how this will set up this shared universe, but clearly, whatever deal Sony and Marvel worked out to keep Tom Holland in the Spider-Verse seems to have included a plan to allow Sony to expand their footprint without stepping on each other's toes. Now, to me, as you look at this and you see these two big companies getting along, you have to ask a couple of questions. I think the biggest question is, what is in the works? And clearly, both sides have something big. Now, what happens in Spider-Man 3 and how exactly it shares up the shared universe between Marvel and Sony remains to be seen. But I have to say, Sony seems very confident about the future. This is miles and miles away from just a few years ago when Marvel and Sony were completely fighting over Tom Holland and nearly had Spider-Man removed from the MCU. This very abrupt reconciliation to continue working together has many fans like me suspecting there could be something very, very big going on behind the scenes. Now, this is not only really big for crossover films, which I do think are coming, but it should give fans some extra hope. Let's not forget, Tom Holland just said that his contract was complete with No Way Home. This means if that third installment of Spider-Man really does open a ton of doors, this is definitely not going to be the last time we see him on screen as Spider-Man, and he most assuredly will be appearing in both universes. There's another big question here that I have. When you look at the Disney-Sony timeline and the Marvel Phase 4 plan, you have to ask a couple of questions. It's very clear Sony was ready to pull Spider-Man from the MCU. That's completely beyond debate. And everybody had to have some sort of coming together. Now, we always like to think this is about money, but it is also about setting up a future. And I have to think that one of Sony's demands to keep Spider-Man in the MCU was to somehow more legitimize their films with MCU fans. Now, if you think about this deeply, this raises the question of when did the multiverse planning go into effect? This would have been an extremely easy pivot for Kevin Feige to shift into a multiverse plan allowing Sony to do this, but I do find it suspect on the timing. I actually think the whole multiverse plan of Phase 4 has been partially dictated by Sony. It's pretty darn important for Marvel to hold on to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I believe he'll be a big part of the Avengers and the MCU. In order to do that, they needed some sort of reconciliation with Sony, and I actually think this is it. The Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters, Spunk, is starting to gain some traction, and once we get 3 or 4 of these movies out, I suspect many fans, not us hardcore fans, but regular moviegoers, won't know, or more importantly, care about the difference. In any case, more Spider-Man for me is a good thing. As long as Sony keeps the quality standards up, I think it's a win-win for fans. What do you guys think? Are you ready for a more expanded Spider-Verse to kick off in Spider-Man 3? And what Spider-Man spin-off movie has you most excited? I'm not gonna lie, I'm very curious on what they are gonna do with Kraven. Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you press like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you ain't getting any updates. Peace.